Hey, welcome. Nice to have you here. So, in case you're wondering what a stock market is, then this is probably something you want to watch. It's going to be a pretty simple primer explaining what this stock market stuff is all about, right? So, let's get on with the show. So, let's talk about you, okay? You are so successful, okay? No, really, I mean it. So you're running a business, you're successful, and you are so successful that you say to yourself, this business needs to be made into a formal, legit, legal company and whatnot. And so you go ahead and start your company, right? You register your company. And awesome. Kudos to you for doing that. And next, you want to expand your business, right? You have this company and now you're so successful that you want to make this business very big. You want to have a lot more transactions and whatnot. What do you need for that? You need more money, right? You need more money. And it's people that usually have money. Like, so you call up your friends and you say, hey, dude, or do that, whatever. And you say, listen, do you want to invest in my company? And they're like really excited. They know you're a successful person and your company is all that. And so 10 of your friends say, listen, we're going to be very happy to invest in your company. And you let them invest in your company, okay? So each person invests whatever money that they feel comfortable investing in your company, and you give them a share of your company. That's only fair, right? They invest in your company, and you give them a percentage of ownership in your company. So they're part owners of your company along with you. You still own most of the company, the vast majority of the company is still yours, but you give them a portion of it. Like, somebody invests $10,000, you give them maybe 1% of your company, depending on how you evaluate your company in the first place, right? So you give them shares of your company, and now all of your friends, those 10 friends, have what we call shares of your company, right? And those shares, used to be paper shares. Nowadays, they're just all digital. But those friends are now part owners of your company, and their shares. They have shares of your company. And like I said, the percentage is proportional to the amount that they invested in your company to begin with. So far so good, right? You're not one of those ordinary people. You want more expansion. You want stuff to go right up through the roof, right? And word gets around that your business is just this huge, phenomenal success, and all the savvy people in your circle of friends and even outside your circle of friends, they really want in. They want to invest in your company, right? You're a generous person, and you're like, okay, we'll let them do it, right? But before you do that, you need to make some changes to your company, like legal paperwork and stuff, so that you're allowed to take in more partners, right? But it's a public that's investing at this point, and you no longer want to call them partners, more like they're investing in your company. So let's call them investors, right? So thousands and thousands of happy people are now investors in your company, and you have given them shares, right? In proportion to the money that they invested in your company. And you say, hey, you know what? Let's call them not partners. Let's call them shareholders because they keep on holding to your shares. Those are paper shares, by the way. Even when they're sleeping, because it's just so valuable, right? They hold on to your shares. So you call them shareholders. You're just such a nice person, right? Thank you for being so nice. Now, moving on, as usual, just what you expected out of yourself, right? More success, right? So your shares are just, the hottest stuff in town. And people want, you know, they get more money out of the shares. In other words, you make profits. You make $100, $100 million really. I'm sorry, $100 million a month, and then you split that up and hand over, the share of the profits that those shareholders deserve, right? And those shares, that share of money is called dividend, right? Some companies are good at giving dividends back to their shareholders. Some say, you know what, we'd like to put that money back in the company and make it grow bigger. Anyway, you're the nice dividend giving kind of company. Not that the other ones are bad, just saying. Some people in your, who own your shares, right? They're like, this is such a nice company. Can I have more shares? They're like, I want to buy more shares, right? And at the same time, there are other folks, they're like, I made a lot of money out of this. I got enough dividends. Maybe now is the time to sell these shares that I have to somebody else, make a nice profit. Maybe buy a nice villa in Florida and settle down, right? And these wonderful people want to sell their shares. What do you have now? People who own shares in your company, shareholders really. Some of them want to buy and some of them want to sell. Now these sellers and buyers, they want to meet up, right? So they can exchange those old-fashioned paper shares. So they decide to meet up at the local cafe and then trade those shares, your company shares. That's what they do. Okay, that's exactly what they do. Now, a lot of heavy sharing is going to go on now because people are selling, people are buying, and your company is huge. There's just tons of people owning your shares. People are, there are so many sellers and buyers of your shares. The local cafe is also crowded out. And the local cafe owner says, listen guys, let's just rent an office, okay? That will serve as a meeting place for all you beautiful sellers and buyers of your company shares, right? And he arranges for that. He's a nice guy, just like you, right? And soon we have buyers and sellers of other companies. You're just awesome. You have a great company. But you know what? There are other companies in the town. And they did kind of what you did too. They issued shares, and there were shareholders for those companies as well. They found out about your meeting place for this you know buying and selling of shares, and they said, listen, let's have this meeting place, same meeting place for buying and selling shares of our companies too. So basically what happens is this new place that is an office that's working in your town serves as a meeting place for buyers and sellers of shares of all companies in that area, right? It's pretty much all the companies that are out there. The shareholders come in there and they sell and buy shares in that office place, right? That meeting place. But you're the big shot there. So they walk up to you and they tell you, this is what we're planning to do, and we're gonna call it the share trader meeting place, something something. You're a nice guy, but when something is needs to be changed. You say, y'all are nuts. Are you kidding me? What kind of a name is that? There's only one thing you can call it, and you're gonna have to call it the share market. You're the hot shot, so they agree. And what do we have now? Look what you've done now. No, seriously. Thank you for doing this. Now, thanks to you, we have the share market, where shareholders of all companies can trade their shares, and not entirely accurate there. You cannot trade shares of all companies. And the reason is there are different stock markets for different countries. There's one for the US, and actually more than one for the US. And different areas, different. There's a Hong Kong stock exchange, there's a Japanese stock exchange, there's a all kinds of stock exchanges. Basically, there's just stock markets for companies registered in different countries. A lot of big countries have their own stock exchanges, right? In the U.S., you have the New York Stock Exchange, the Nasdaq, right? So, the companies that are being traded in that stock exchange, you can trade, right? See where you're going with this? You're just so totally happy, right? You've done a good job, yeah. But I'm gonna have to tell you this. Ever since you named it the stock market, people have been trading not just stocks. Right? Stock is just another name for shares. They have been trading all kinds of stuff in your stock market. And what are those things? Other than shares of companies, they've been trading commodities, oil, gas, gold, cotton, wheat, all that good stuff right there. That's the commodity market, part of the share market, right? It's all part of the same exchange. And they also trade currencies in the same exchange as the stock exchange, right? So they trade the US dollar, Japanese yen, euro, all those currencies, and derivatives, right? Let's not get into what derivative is at this point, but just know that they're another avatar of the shares that you issue, right? And some of the common derivatives are options and futures, right? Futures contracts. So all of the stuff is being traded on the floor, stock exchange that we talked about. Um, all right, so yeah, like I said, you are so awesome. We're talking about you, pure awesomeness. You're just so shrewd with your business acumen. I'm so glad we could spend some time together and be friends. So thank you, and you have a great day. Bye for now.